What are you doing?
Okay.
Hey. Where are you going? Okay.
Okay.
So we are real now?
Yeah, I think so. Give me a sec. Yeah, on the, I found a piece of, free, music as well. So, give me a second. We've got about a minute before we have to go. There we go. Yep. I found a piece of, what do you call it? Royalty-free music that, our mics are live. They can hear us. Fantastic. You shouldn't be able to, but I wasn't expecting that. So there we go. We are transitioning now. I will let you know when we're... Unless we go like this. And then I go like this.
You reposted the link, I will also repost it.
Yep.
Hey, all right.
There we go. Okay. Hooray!
Wow.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for hanging out with us. So I think
we're trying to, anyways.
Yep, we've got Mel, we've got Josh, we've got Jake and myself. I think we're almost got everything ironed out. All of the fun things. Streaming is not easy. Anybody who tells you it's easy is lying. Lying. Big lies. But
that's just what big internet wants you to think.
Big internet wants us to think it's easy.
They want you to think.
Yeah. I guess if I was a little bit younger, like 20 years younger, it would all seem a lot easier.
Yeah, probably.
But
We need to hire some like Mel. What are your kids up to?
Fantastic.
Oh,
yep.
Well, listen, I'm glad that we got this up and running, and I'm stoked that there's at least somebody listening to us. It's not just Dave and I talking to ourselves. But at the same time, like we talked about last week when we did our rough draft, if it was just me and Dave talking to each other, I would also do that.
It wouldn't be a bad thing. We have had several good hour-long conversations.
True, yeah. We didn't record those ones.
So we know we're definitely able to do that, so that's all good.
100%.
Yay!
All right.
But
so, do you want to try everything again?
Let's try everything again, because this one will be the one that goes up for, like, all time's sake, forever, I guess, until we delete it.
Okay.
Take down the video, or somebody asks us to get rid of it.
So, give me the intro first. So Dave and I have known each other basically since like 2003. And this all came about where I was talking about lore with some friends of mine, and I was kicking around the idea of doing a podcast, and I had posted about it on Facebook to be like, am I nuts? Is this real? Should we do this? And Dave was like, oh, I was also thinking about doing a podcast. Let's touch base. And it was like, oh, that'll work pretty well. Like, you got peanut butter on my chocolate. You got chocolate on my peanut butter. Who doesn't like Reese's Pieces? So, yeah.
I don't.
Apparently does not like Reese's Pieces.
Yes. I like to keep my salty and my sweet separate.
Cool, I got you. But we figured it would work. So, I'll take care of the salty. Dave will take care of the sweet, and then we can make this happen. So, we figured we would talk about like painting projects and the hobby industry at large and gaming and things that we're into. I think a big thing for both of us is there's so much negativity in terms of people just like sort of crapping all over stuff that they don't like, or even worse, stuff that they purport to like, which I don't understand.
Yep.
I completely understand with giving constructive feedback or having genuine points about things that you might not be stoked about, but to just genuinely like back up the truck and just try to bury something that somebody else likes is just kind of, that's not my thing. I'm like, you know what, go do something else. You don't need to yuck someone else's yum. But that's kind of where we landed. And then Dave, with his tons of experience painting and doing hobby projects and things like that, I was like, oh, okay, this could be a pretty good merge. And we're both pretty well versed in like the lore and like background and sort of the place that is like gaming, particularly tabletop. But that was kind of where this came from, I guess.
Yeah. I think, pretty much so. It's there's, I think, the opportunity to be another couple of talking heads on the internet talking about the hobby is an interesting one, but I'm hoping that we can bring some positivity. We can also look at other angles, look at ways that people can incorporate new ideas, new products, new minis, whatever it might be, into what they're already doing, or how they can lay the skin of what they're interested in over the top of other things that are available to them. Also, one of the things I'd really like to do during the course of the show is talk to the people who are creating stuff.
Sure.
So at some point I'm going to talk about the Pro Acryl paints from Monument Hobbies. So I got some of those from Jason at Monument the other day, or a couple of weeks ago actually, and I've been using them for my word bearers, so we'll get to talking about that. But there are a few things where no hating on the word bearers.
Jarvis is the worst. Like, he is the worst.
Yeah. But there are a couple of instances where they didn't behave the way that I thought they would. So I was like, oh, I should, rather than just going, oh, this is dumb, this doesn't work. It's like, I should find out, is it because it shouldn't, it's not designed to work the way that I think it's going to work? Or am I doing something that doesn't make it work the way that I want it to work? That sort of thing.
Right.
So,
is it a bug or is it a feature?
Pardon? Is it a bug or a feature? Exactly.
Yeah, is it a bug or is it a feature?
Oh, we could have a segment called Bug or Feature. But I like that, doing that kind of thing, rather than just immediately jumping to the conclusion that something's broken or needs to be fixed or whatever. It's like, obviously something isn't working the way I expected. Do I need to adjust my expectations? Where does this happen? What's the way that it needs to go about? So that's the sort of thing that I like to do as well in the crazy hobby stuff. So but I will say, just quickly looking at the chat, that Mel has said that Willow's prices are quite reasonable.
Sweet, we'll have to talk.
So who knows, she might be able to be our producer, I guess, would be the title for that.
Yeah, I like that.
I would guess. But yeah, so I'm just going to mess around with something just really quickly, because I need to... There we go.
I think the bugger feature thing, I think, is helpful in the industry at large too. I can't tell you how many times I have, tried to use some product and, like you said, like been like, oh, this didn't really do what I thought it was going to do, and then I'm like, well, I'm just not going to use it right now on this thing. Yeah. And then I'll have a project later on where I'm like, oh, that'd be perfect for this.
Right.
Like, it's the sort of thing where you're like, you kind of stumble onto a happy accident and you're like, oh, okay, I can use this.
The bug now becomes a feature? Is that what you're...
Yeah, sure. I mean, or, I figured out how to turn that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on what it is. But I think there's a lot of that, and I think sometimes it's just the way that stuff is presented from people in the industry to the public.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times I think if somebody who's worked in the industry forever comes up with some cool idea, and they're like, well, this will be really good for this type of user, and then they put it out to the public, the end user isn't necessarily the user that they envisioned.
Right.
And I think that you see people get frustrated all the time with that kind of stuff. In particular industry, I feel like there's a lot of it.
Yep.
But, I think that it's always fun to, like you said, have another viewpoint or have another, kind of voice of reason. Go, oh, okay, well, if you use it like this, and then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. So
yeah. No, I think it'll be good. It'll be good to do that kind of thing. Have some of those people on as guests would be pretty sweet as well.
Sure.
And watch me try and control like extra.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
It's going to be ridiculous.
You're gonna be like,
my head's going to go just like this.
A nosebleed. You're trying to like keep all the screens going.
Yeah, it's going to be exactly that. It's I will enter the Matrix.
Nice. I've never seen anybody move that fast.
I think that'll be awesome. But now that we've got that all going, I think now that we've got those, we know that the mics are working just fine. We've got everybody can hear both folks. That must be that section. That's that bit at the bottom. Finding out where everything is. The next thing that we're going to do, actually, and to be completely honest, we've already done it, but it was during a private live stream that we I didn't realize it was set to private. I mean, it's right there. It's on the screen. I wasn't looking at the right spot. So, Jake, give us your establish your credentials. Give us your origin story.
I don't have any. I'm just some guy. I found Dave online in a Craigslist ad, so we figured we would jump on here and.
You just violated clause 2 of the Craigslist ad.
Did not read the fine print. So, I got into gaming really young. So again, Dave's already heard this, but we'll go over it again. So, a couple of months ago, a friend of mine had asked me to come on. She does a podcast dealing with like sort of grief and using gaming and stuff to like deal with grief and help with like overcoming loss and stuff. And it kind of got me thinking, like, when did I really get into gaming? So my dad passed away when I was really young, and around the same time I got into D&D. Now, as a kid, you don't really think about that stuff, and I don't think I sought out D&D because of it, but it was kind of like an introduction to like this made-up world where you could kind of do whatever you want, and it really encouraged a lot of imagination. And I've always had a pretty rampant imagination, but now it was like directed. You could kind of use that to have an adventure and create your character and like live in this world. And that's where I kind of got my start. And then a couple years later, I went out to a sort of convention thing, and there was a guy selling random stuff I had never seen before, and I ended up getting the original Rogue Trader box of Space Marines with the amazing, with all the Crimson Fists surrounded by the orcs coming out of the smoke, and a White Dwarf issue, and I forget what number it is, but it's the issue that has a green dragon on it, there's a guy on it, and it's all of Jess Goodwin's original sketches for doing the Aspect Warriors. So I remember being like, this art is amazing, and like, this is a really cool game. And originally when I saw the dragon, I thought it was a copy of like Dragon Magazine, which was all like D&D focused. So I grabbed that because I thought it looked cool, and I knew that the Space Marines were models, but I had built model kits. Like I had the Enterprise and, World War II planes and stuff like that. And I had miniatures, but they were like the metal Rel Partha ones that you just, for the most part, they were like one piece.
Yep.
But I had never built models of miniatures to paint.
Yeah.
So, but that was really cool. That was kind of like where I got my start. And I really kind of never let go. And then when in 2003, I got recruited and hired by Games Workshop, and within a couple of months I got promoted to being a bunker manager, so I ran the store in Boston, and then that's when I met Dave. I flew down HQ and got a tour of the whole like US offices and the bunker, and this is back when there was still like a US White Dwarf team. So I met John Schaefer, who was the editor, and I met Dirty Steve, who was the photographer, and I met our terrain guys, Jason Buyaki and Chad Mirzwa. And a lot of these guys still work in the gaming industry, which is always amazing to me. Like we are everywhere. Like everyone has his workshop.
Yep.
But I was there for like 5 or 6 years, and then I was a tester at Fantasy Flight. I worked on a couple different books and a couple games they had, and then I did some editing, and then I did some part-time stuff at a couple different places. When GW started to move back into New England, I helped them scout out some locations and helped them get those open, and then opened my own store. but I've been in the gaming industry for about almost 20 years now at this point. It's kind of scary how long it's been. I didn't really realize that, but yeah, that's kind of how I got my sort of foot in the door kind of thing. And I've been fortunate enough to meet, just great people. And even when we opened our store, I tell people all the time, like we would not have been where we are and been as prepared if I hadn't had great people like really kind of step up and offer to help us. And that's been my favorite thing, and I think that's the thing that's kept me in the industry for as long as I have been. Apart from my love of playing with models and playing games and having fun, it's the people really, and I like yourself and Jeff Brooks and Rick and Mel. I mean, Dave. God, there's so many Johns. There's like 30 Johns. John Matthews in particular. I mean, there's so many people in the industry that have just made it like an absolute pleasure just to kind of hang out and be able to go to shows like Adepticon where I know everybody, and I'm like, oh, hey, how you been? Like that for me is like a huge part of it. It's that like family, that community kind of feel. But that's how I met Dave.
That's how we got to know each other. Fantastic.
Sure.
Cool. Excellent. So my credentials and origin story kind of thing, craziness. So my name's Dave Taylor. I am foreign. Pretty much wherever I go now. No, I'm originally from Australia. I started playing D&D when I was probably about in about 6th grade. So a little bit later than Jake. Well, probably earlier than Jake, but later in the developmental sort of thing. Because I think I'm older. How old are you? About the same time. How old are you?
I turned 47 at the end of the week.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so about the same time then. Yeah, almost identical. So, because the funny thing is, I think the first White Dwarf I bought was the one with the picture, the Jez Goodwin sketches of the Aspect Warriors in. So, totally crazy. But yeah, when I was in, that was when I was in like my first year at college. I bought that White Dwarf, and I also was buying figures from the local hobby store to build chess sets with. So I'd collect like random models and paint them up. So like my the white side had an avatar, the Eldar avatar.
Okay.
And the rooks were like the old Space Hulk Terminators were the rooks, and I can't remember what I had for pawns for that, for the white side, but for the black side it was they were all the Gretchen from Space Crusade.
Oh my god, that's phenomenal. Fantastic.
Yep. But and then I saw that there was a box there that was like 30 guys in it, and it's like, for a chess set you need 32, so I'll just get like 2 other models, and this is gonna be a really cheap way to do it. And so I painted up all those Marines, and then the guy at the store said, "Ah, you've got a lot of stuff by now. You must have enough for an army." And I was like, "What do you mean an army?" He was like, "Well, this is all for a game called Warhammer 40,000." And he showed me the book, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And so yeah, I was just absolutely hooked, and started painting minis and playing games and doing all sorts of stuff. Like, this guy used to host games at his house every Sunday, and I go around to there, and somebody in the background, but but yeah, so yeah, we'd play lots of games. We got to the point where for the store, I was painting miniatures for the store owner to get store credit to buy more models, that kind of thing. And then 94, so my final year of college, Games Workshop opened up a store in my hometown, and I started hanging out there, and eventually got a part-time job, and at the end of the year got a full-time job, and then spent 14 years working for GW in Australia and the US. And then yeah, when I left GW at the end of 2008, I started working for Wargames Illustrated, which is the premier wargaming magazine in the world. So they probably they sell like close to 10,000 copies a month around the world, so which I think is now more than White Dwarf. I could be wrong, but Yep, so I worked for them for 5 years as the US editor. Got to sort of really broaden my horizons as far as miniatures go. Got to paint a lot of historical miniatures, because it's primarily a historical wargaming magazine. Play a lot of different games, be exposed to a lot of different approaches to gaming, which was cool, and meet a lot of new folks, which was very good. And then it's almost 9 years ago, so I guess 8.5 years ago, I left there to start my own business, Dave Taylor Miniatures. And for that I've been doing consulting, doing editing, layout work, photography, painting, terrain building, all sorts of things. So everything that I learned in my previous 19 years in the industry, I'm applying that to helping other companies, small businesses who don't have those particular skill sets. So
a Dave of all trades.
A Dave of all trades, master of none, pretty much. But I always like to say it's one of those things where you can probably find somebody who's better at me, better at layout than I am, or better at photography than I am, or better at editing than I am. But then you're gonna be hiring 3 people to do all those jobs, or you could just give it to me. Keep it all in house.
Yeah, I mean that's just smart business. You'd be losing money if you don't hire Dave.
Pretty much, yeah. That's the that's the approach. Oh, sorry, just looking back at the chat just quickly. Mel was saying edition 124. That was his first copy too.
Are you kidding me? All 3 of us bought the same issue?
That's
That
crazy.
is just weird.
I didn't buy mine. I stole mine. No, just kidding. I did buy it. Yeah.
I had a similar thing with the game. Like when I talked to that guy at the kiosk, again, I'm probably what is that, 85 or 86? It's got to be 85, right? Because that's when the Road Trader box came out.
Well, the Road Trader book was 87, and 87, 88 was RTBO ones. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess it was 87. So I remember talking to the guy at the thing, and I'm like, what is this? And he's like, these are Space Marines. And he hands me the box. And then he proceeded to talk about it, and I stopped listening because I was like, oh, Space Marines. So I flipped it over, and I'm reading the thing on the back, and it's telling you about all these guys, and like, I was like, this is cool. And again, this predates all the stuff that we're going to get into later about the Heresy. Like, there were no Primarchs. The Space Marines were just like, they were all Navy SEALs. They were just badass dudes that had like bolt guns and like cooler armor than the Imperial Guard did. That's literally all. They were all like lunatic dudes. And I was like, this is so cool. I'm going to paint these up. And then I took them home and I built them. And like I said, I had them all on my little shelf with all my D&D minis. Yep. And like a year went by, and I remember looking through the White Dwarf, and again, I'd never seen a tabletop war game. Like I didn't understand what that meant. So I was like, oh, this is it's like a board game, or it's like a Dungeons and Dragons thing. Like it's like a role-playing game. And then my cousin came over and was like, oh, he saw my Marines, and he was like, oh, these are really cool. He's like, oh, you play this game? And I was like, there's a game? And he's like, yeah. And he like explained the whole thing to me, and I was like, oh, this is it. And then it was like down the rabbit hole. It just got worse from there. I remember buying like Adeptus Titanicus the first time, and having the big like beetle-backed warlords and like the warhounds that actually look like dogs, the dog heads and stuff. Yeah. My brother and I bought that. Remember that epic Space Marine box?
Oh yeah.
My brother and I split that. My mom wanted to kill me for like getting that into my brother's head. So we split. He got all the orcs, and I got all the Space Marines. And it came with that crazy Imperator Titan. Right. Yep. Like, I mean, it just got worse from there. Like, that's kind of how I just got buried in miniatures. But
yeah. No, that's awesome. That is super cool. And Mel is saying that 1990 he was 15 when he got his. Yeah, I was 91. I was 18, just turned 18. So yeah, I came to it a bit late. So my copy was probably like 2 or 3 years old at the time.
So 87. So I was.
It was Australia.
I was 12, but I think it was the current issue.
At the time. That. Right. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, because like I said, the guy had like a like a storefront thing set up at the show, and
Yep.
he didn't have like he didn't have like back issues or anything.
Yeah.
So I guess I cut up and off by like a month or two, but
I probably got mine from a like a secondhand shop or something like that, secondhand bookshop.
I have so many White Dwarfs now. My collection is insane. I need to stop.
Josh Potter says that in 1990 he was 16, and he did Ralph the Grenadier and Ratham.
Yeah, I had a
And
bunch
his
of
buddy
that
Mike
stuff.
introduced him to GW that same year. So.
Oh god, I had the Grenadier Frost Giant.
Oh yep.
He's like this tall and he weighs like 1,000,000 pounds.
Yep.
Yeah, trying to glue that guy together was not fun. He had that stupid hand with the axe that was separate. And I was like, how am I supposed to glue this here? It's never going to work.
Yep. Yeah.
It's before I knew about pinning or anything like that. So I was like, I'm just going to coat it. And I'm right. I had my mom take me to the hardware store. And I asked the guy, I said, how do I connect two pieces of metal that are too heavy for glue to work? And he was like, what are you doing? And I explained it to him, and he was like, you need like a 2-part epoxy.
Right.
So I got like this like high-end, it had like the syringe with the 2 tubes, and I like mixed it all, and it stunk.
Yep.
And I put it the guy, I mean, it worked, but like, my wife's, the guy was like talking to my home, he's like, make sure he doesn't like glue himself to anything, because that's like super strong.
Yeah. Nice.
So,
That's cool. So essentially, what we're saying with all of that guff is that we're old and we've done a lot of this stuff.
we have stuff.
Yep. Nice. So excellent. So there you go. That's our origin story. We've established our credentials. I think we've done a good job of that.
Real people.
Yes, we are real people who know what we're talking about. But so next up on our list of things that we're sort of going to run through, we have key news and what are we excited about. Is what it's put on the thing there. So key news.
So I would say I know for key stuff that just got released last week, GW released the new like digital PDF of all the other units.
Okay. Yep.
Horus Heresy, which just came out, which I was super excited about. It has a bunch of the characters that I remember looking at the book being like, man, that's a missed opportunity. Why aren't these characters in there? And then they put most of them in there. There's still been a few that haven't been listed, but that's super cool. It has a bunch of other like random stuff that apparently exists in the previous edition of Heresy. So it's kind of like bringing everybody's models along. And then I know that they announced that AdMech is going to get the next book. So once that comes out, the only stuff that really isn't being covered at the moment is like, I guess like Solar Auxilia and like Titans and stuff.
And the demons, the Runestorm stuff, and the cults and militia stuff as well. So, which it's to the person who's not particularly interested in them, which it sounds like you, that they look very similar to the Solar Auxilia because they're like squishy humans, but they're quite different. There's a lot of different stuff you can do. But I think it's really interesting seeing that what do you call it, PDF, because it felt like, okay, so in the books there's a certain number of units that they've shown. So there are things like, well, why wouldn't they have like the Land Raider Phobos in the book? They've got the Proteus, but not why was it? Maybe it's not Phobos, something else. But why is it in that and not in the book? And it's like, okay, maybe that's just maybe the things that are in the book up the front of the book are gonna be plastic. Maybe we'll see those in. They have plans for plastic for all of those things, and then everything that's in the specific to legions and outside of it is going to remain in Forge World in resin. Maybe it's something like that.
I've heard for years that one of the big things that GW wants to do, and I know that the pandemic over the last couple of years has really thrown a monkey wrench into that whole thing, but we had been told forever that the idea is that they want to go all plastic.
Yeah.
I know that there's like all kinds of weird surcharges on resin because like it's technically it causes like toxic fumes and all this, and if they have to bring in 2 different things they get taxed on, and so I know that eventually they would like to go 100% plastic, but I mean, I don't think that they're there yet. I mean, I know that their timeline got screwed up anyways, but yeah, to your point, the fact that when they announced they were going to do the Heresy all in plastic, I think a lot of people like really like, you know, kind of perked up, like, oh, okay, maybe I'll do Heresy.
Check that out, yeah.
You know, like you and me are two of those people.
Yeah, indeed we are. So one of the things I was going to say as well is over the course of the show going forward, we will talk a lot about GW stuff. We will also talk about other things.
Oh, 100%.
There will be other things that come up that we'll talk about. Just know that. And we're happy to chat and talk to everybody in the chat about a variety of stuff, whatever it happens to be. So feel free to ask questions, jump in, all that sort of fun stuff. And of course, Josh and Mel are chatting, but Mel's saying he color matched the paint for his first gaming table to Goblin Green, but it was a shame he didn't know what gloss was.
He didn't what?
He didn't know what gloss was.
Yeah, that's not good.
So yeah, his first table was Goblin Green. But it was glossy Goblin Green.
So
that looked terrible.
Technically, all I would have done back then, and for those of you at home who were like, "How do I fix that?" You spray it with matte varnish. Now it is not gloss green anymore.
We're gonna remember this was like 40 years ago.
Oh yeah, no.
30
Back
years
then
ago.
it's like, oh, I guess I have to repaint that.
Yeah.
Oh no, back then you could do it too. You'd spray it with hairspray.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's a way to do it. Yeah, because I remember we had a bunch of models that we used tester's paint on.
Yeah.
Like the old oil-based tester's paint, and they were all glossy, and I was like, I don't like them. They're so shiny. And then another buddy of mine who does like model kits was like, oh, if you spray it with hairspray, it'll dull that up. And I was like, okay. So I did it, and I was like, oh, these look great. So
nice.
Other stuff that I'm super excited for. I know that later on this summer, in August, D&D is releasing Spelljammer.
Okay.
Which I am super excited for. For those of you that don't know, that came out, I think Spelljammer came out in like 94, 95.
Okay.
I think. Or like it was sometime in the 90s. I think it was later 90s, so between 94 and 97.
Yeah.
Spelljammer is basically D&D in space, essentially.
Okay. Right.
It's super cool. I like our buddy Brian, who you know, Brian Steele, was a big fan of it, and we've been playing a retro game a couple of months ago, and they're finally updating it, bringing it up to like the current generation. So it'll be fun. It'll be cool.
Cool. So that's one of the things you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I think that'll be cool.
Excellent.
How about you? Anything new? Anything exciting that you're stoked for?
I'm not excited about anything at all. I can't afford to be excited about anything for the future because there's so much stuff coming out at the moment, like right now, that my funds are going to be super depleted. But yeah. Now I don't know. I'm at the point where I am. At the point where basically GW is able to put aside all of my hobby funds well before I know that they're going to put them aside. So yeah, right up and like earlier this year, I was thinking, oh yeah, I might do an Iron Snakes army, just to have some fun Marines to go along with my Gaunt's Ghosts and all that sort of stuff. So finally introduced some Marines to that sort of venue. But fortunately, just before I sort of took the plunge and bought a whole bunch of stuff for it, it was they announced the Horus Heresy stuff, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm just redirecting that. And then they were like, and Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights and Squats and Ash Wastes for Necromunda and
yeah, I mean, like I gotta give GW credit. Again, not to stay on the GW train because we get enough of that coming up tonight. But they've done such a great job. Like since Kevin Roundtree took over as CEO, I think that he's done a really good job of keeping like the launch pipeline flowing and just like it's just nonstop hits. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, there's a launch mix in here or there that's not for me, but like that's why it's the hobby. And then there's my hobby.
Yeah.
But there's enough in there that it's like, hey, do you like Dritcha and like the tree folk dudes? Cool. Here's a bunch of stuff for them. Oh, are you a Skaven guy? Here's a new model and here's a new codex for them. Oh, do you like the Night Haunt? They haven't had any love in forever. Here's a new codex for them. Like, so they do a good job, I think, of keeping everything kind of flowing. Like their launch cycle is really strong.
Yep.
Which, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. For those of us that want all of it, you're like, how am I going to afford this all?
Well, I think I'm usually pretty good at keeping it steady, keeping everything confined to what I've chosen. I've chosen quite a few things, but I don't have. I know that when they released like the Norse team for Blood Bowl was like, these guys look awesome. Thankfully, I haven't played Blood Bowl for 10 years, so I don't need to. I don't need to get that. I can put it aside. I might want to get it, but I don't need to get it. Yep. But yeah, this particular one was just sometimes it's like you can go like a year without anything that you're super excited about, and then this was like, when I say super excited about, like I have to get that.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, this was just like this and 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 this. So. Yeah, I'm going to be quite happy to just sit and paint a lot of Horus Heresy stuff for the next 6 months, and I've got reach over. So I painted up.
Nice.
Added 2 of the new War Dogs to my Chaos Knight army.
Dude, they're so cool. I love their feet.
Yep. Yeah. They're
like
huge.
They're giant feet. Yeah, the giant like crow feet with like the pointy toes. Those are cool.
I had to cut that one up to sort of bend it off the back of the base. But yeah, cool there's just so much that stuff to be able to do. But Josh agrees with you. He said, "Yep, Roundtree really brought a lot of people back around." So yeah, I think that the work that Andy Smiley did to build the Warhammer community team. And the engagement that they've done with that has been pretty amazing. So,
especially because like when you and I worked there in the before times, like there was like talk to the community. Why would we do that?
Yeah,
and you were like, oh, okay, I guess we don't do that. So that was a little strange, but
yeah, there was sorry, just quickly, there was a time when I said to. I'd had a good discussion with Chris Gollinghorst, Gogo, who I always considered to be like the soul of the promotions team. And we were like, okay, this is when blogging was just like taking off. I was like, we should talk to a lot of these bloggers and get inside with them, and pass them some information and that kind of thing, so they can talk about on their blogs, and that'll drive more traffic to the GW site. And we tried to explain that to the studio head at the time, and they were like, well, wouldn't we just want them to come to our site? It's like, we do, but they're going to go somewhere else first.
This is them asking for directions.
Let's feed the directions through. And he was like, nah. And then like here we are, like 12, 14 years later, where it's, all of those YouTubers, let's invite them all to Nottingham and give them all this great trip. And then
Dave, we've talked about this before. Like you, no. Like, and I say this kiddingly, but it's so real. It hurts. You are literally like the developer and the thinking brains that are in the back room at GW at studio, but you're like 14 years in the future. So like everything that you've done, and people are like, that's awesome. 14 years later, GW is like, let's do that. Like you were like, hey, Dave, what are you working on? Oh, so what I did was instead of doing Kriegers, I converted a whole bunch of Bretonnians into guys from a World War II, like, sort of gas planet. So the horses have gas masks, and the riders all wear gas masks, and they have, like, heavy cav. It'll be really cool. What are you working on next? Oh, so I'm working on, like, a Mechanicus army? A Mechanicus army? What's that? So it's going to be, like, all, like, robots and, like, cyborg tech priests and, like, big sort of, like, robot cannons on legs and stuff. It'll be really, really cool. What are you working on next, Dave? So you know the Adeptus Custodes that are in like 2 of like the blurbs in like the rule book? Yeah. I'm going to make a Custodes army that's all scratch converted. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. And then what did GW put out? They're like, so Forgeworld is going to put out the Death Corps, and it's going to be like dudes with gas masks and like heavy cav. And then what should we do next? What if we do AdMech? Like we'll put out Mechanicus as an army, what should we do next? What did Dave work on? Custodes? Let's do a custode. Let's just custodes. Like, it's insane to me how prescient you are. You are literally like, you're like 14 years ahead of your time.
No. We're all working from the same source material, the same John Blanche sketches and artwork and that kind of thing.
Next week, you're gonna be like, I'm painting a Hrun army. They're like the weird reptilian dudes with the time weapons. And then, in 2035, GW be like, we're putting out a Hrun army. It's been 14 years. We went back and checked the Dave tapes, so it's time for them to come back.
That'd be funny. That'd be funny if they did that. It'd be funny if I did it.
You know what you and I miss?
I wouldn't. What's that?
I miss from Imperial Guard where you could have assault squads and they were beastmen.
Right. Okay.
You could have good guy beastmen and they counted as abhumans, like squats and ratlings and ogrin. Like I was like, that is so sick.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know. I'm wondering if they're going to be. They might be. They might turn up in the next Astra Militarum Codex.
It'd be pretty cool.
Possible. I don't know. It'd be good. It'd be super neat. But yeah. So yeah, I'm excited about all stuff that's coming out right now. Really, that's what I'm excited about. The
Chaos Codex.
I am excited about the Possessed. To put the Possessed into my Word Bearers army as Gal Warback.
Are they the right size? I know they're bigger than the old Possessed.
I'm not sure. Well, the Gal Warback are pretty big, so it's going to have to be. Let's see what they look like, see how they compare, because I think they're going to be about $60 a box compared to $100 for 5 Gal Warback. So that, and also there's a lot of the Possessed cultists models.
Yep.
That are also new that will be interesting to try and weave those into my Blood Pact army. So, into that. So, yeah, I'm excited about those. Yep, I think they're going to be good. I was completely fooled by the April 1st announcement of squats, the return of squats, the Leagues of Votan. So, April 1st when they were like, "Aha, we're back." And I was.
You were like, no, this is a lie.
Well, there's a whole bunch of people that I know were saying like, oh yeah, this is going to be a thing. It's going to be fantastic that they're back. And I'm like, no, it's just a joke. Reeling you all in. And like, oh, but they obviously spent a lot of money on that animation. And it's like, well, if you look at, you can go back and watch the entire animation, except for the last 10 seconds. There's nothing that is explicitly squads. So
right.
It could have been from something else. And they just tacked that funny bit on the end. And then, of course, and I think at one point I said to a friend of mine, like, look, if this thing is real, I will paint you a kill team of those dudes. And then the next day, they sent me a message and said, haha, here's my color scheme.
So I knew that model was real, and talking to a guy, I said the same thing. I was like, look, I'm like, GW, I said, that is not a cobbled together image. I said, that is an actual model.
Right.
I said, so that means that they took the time to 3D render and print that model. I was like, so at the very least, he's real, and I figured he would be like some random thing for Necromunda.
Right. Yeah.
But I was like, but technically they're back, so all right. And then they kind of did both, right? Because there's the newer stuff that is coming out for Necromunda. It's like the
squat,
drilling whatever.
The squat prospectors, the Iron Head squat prospectors. Yep.
Yeah, and they have their robot, and then now they've teased more of the Votan stuff. So there's the guy on the trike.
Yep.
There's the squad of the armor marine dudes, and there's the squad of like the regular troopers.
Yep.
And then they've shown the big like dreadnought thing that they get in the power suit thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they look great though. Those models look fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super interesting to see what they're all about, and how they make them super exciting. But yeah, it's going to be good. But yeah, I've got to, once that kill team comes out for them, I've got to paint a kill team of those for my buddy.
But I appreciate it.
Fun?
I'm sure he will too. I said, man of your word, I appreciate it. And I'm sure he will too.
I hope so. I'm sure he will. But yeah. Cool. Should we jump into the primary topic of conversation for this evening?
100%.
Yeah?
So we got what? We got like 20 minutes left?
Something like that.
All right.
We're running a little bit later, of
so
course.
Horus Heresy.
Horus
Let's
Heresy
get it.
2.0.
I'm so stoked that I got both
Right.
because I had to.
Yeah.
So, not that I wanted to, but I had
to.
So, I got that. But before we get into that, we can talk about all the goodies that are in this ginormous box.
Okay.
And it just an insane amount of good stuff. I know that Dave's already gone through this, and for those of you at home, it's great to see these back.
Right.
The templates we haven't used these in a while.
No.
But just and the whippy sticks.
Yep.
We incurred probably several lawsuits worth of hitting people with those at the store.
Yeah.
But the box is just loaded with stuff. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 of this exact same upgrade sprue, which is for all of your sergeants or centurions. And then you've got
the sergeants for the also in there, that sprue has all the bayonets, bolt pistol holsters.
Oh yeah, it has all the squad upgrades.
Yeah. Yep.
Because it also has like the Vox thing, and it's got like the Legion banner, and
yep.
There's some awesome stuff there. And then you've got the 2 traitors.
Yep.
You got a Chonky Boy, and you've got the guy with the sword.
And Traitor Light.
Yeah. Praetor and Praetor XXL.
Yep.
And then the I'm not gonna lie, the tank is insane.
Yeah.
Like, I can't get over how big it is and how many pieces there are. I mean, the tank is what? 1, 2, 3. The tank is 4. The tank is 4. The tank is 4 full-size sprues and a half sprue.
Right.
And then you've got the Contemptor, the Dread, which is 2 half sprues.
2 half sprues, yep.
Then you've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You've got 8. You get 8 of the Mark 6 Marines sprues.
Yep. So a total of 40.
They're all the same. They're gorgeous.
Yep.
And then there's what, the 2 cataphracti sprues, I think?
Yep.
Oh no, 4.
Well, 4 sprues for it, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
2 and 2.
2 full sprues. So each one makes 5. Yeah, it's a crazy amount of stuff that you get in the box. And then, like we talked about, that you also have the full-size rulebook in here, which is exactly the same size as the assist books. So you've got this monstrosity.
Yep.
This is the actual core rulebook, and you've got the 2 sort of like cheat sheet data things. And for those of you who haven't had a chance to look through it, basically how it's going to work is, so the core book has all of just the basic rules to play, and there's a little pamphlet with the instructions for this stuff. So if you don't want to ever buy anything else, and you just want to have like a cool mini game to play at your house, you could literally buy this box and never buy anything else.
Yep.
But I also think it's the first time in a long time where they've been so creative with what's in the box. Like, if you want to split it with somebody, you totally can. But at the same time, it's all Space Marines. So as a Space Marine player, I was like, I'm just going to buy myself a box, and that's a one-player starter.
And keep all the things.
Yeah. Like, so I like, that's really cool. I mean, that typically doesn't happen where, usually when you buy one of the Versus boxes, you're getting, 2 different factions. And theoretically you are as well in this, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But it's a super nice kit. I think we priced it out. It's about $700 worth of stuff that you're getting for $299. So it's a steal. It is a steal.
Yeah, it is awesome. Your camera's having fun trying to keep up with you.
Oh, sweet!
Doing the the wonderful autofocus.
Yeah, is it in a? I'm picking up all my templates now that I just dumped.
There we go.
Yeah, it's a super nice box. I mean, like, I don't know what your thoughts were. Like, I think I'm most excited about the Mark 6 Marines because it takes me back to that Rogue Trader box. Like, they're beautiful. Like, they're for people who play at home. Like, typical GW minis are 28 millimeter, which means that a normal guy is about an inch to an inch and a half tall. And then, Primaris Marines are more like almost 2 inches tall. And they're what we would consider true scale because they should be about head and shoulders taller than a normal person.
Yep.
The new Space Marines, the Mark 6 Marines, are the same scale as the new line of Chaos Space Marines.
Yep.
So they're about 15% bigger than a normal Marine, but still a little bit shorter than a Primaris Marine.
Yeah. Hang on a sec.
Yeah, Dave's got them. There you go.
So that's the... Ah! I knew that wasn't going to work. It's kind of tough. There we go.
There.
So, if I put that guy closer, he looks huge. I'll put him closer.
Yeah.
But
they're ridiculous. But the Mark 6 Marines, the ones on the left, they're so cool looking. Like they all have I love the chainsaw blades and the Mark 6 beaky helmet. Like just it's a like old school throwback for me. I absolutely love them. Like that's what Marines looked like when they first came out.
Yeah. That was the way that you got most of the models that you were going to see on a table were going to be Mark 6 beakies. But I've got a whole bunch of the Mark 4s that I'm doing up. So I've got a tactical squad of 20 Mark 4s, and then I'm almost finished building. I'm like 20 minutes away from finishing building the next 20-man tactical squad of Mark 6 for them. So
I think I've got the first 10 Mark 6 Marines done, and I started on the Praetor. I've seen some really cool Praetor conversions online, like some ones that I really like. So I think I'm gonna pretty heavily convert both of them.
Cool.
Again, the cape is what does it on the chonky guy. We were talking about last time. Yep. He looks like a Terminator. He's so big.
Yeah.
He isn't, but he looks like a Terminator.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure. And the 2 books are really cool.
Sorry, Josh just said, and now for the 3D portion of our show.
Yeah, seriously. If only there was a way to do that. Do a 3D walk around.
Josh has watched me do a lot of stuff on painting Happy Little Minis. So, particularly when we've done the at-home, the quarantine version,
sure.
We do a lot of holding the mini up to the camera.
Nice.
For the first 6 months of it, I didn't have a light behind the camera, so I'd hold it up and I'd just be in silhouette. And here's the silhouette of a model.
Darker.
So,
for those of you trying to follow along at home, here's a picture that's not helpful.
Yeah. Where's my? I'll show you my. That's my converted guy.
Yeah, that's the Praetor Light.
Yep. So
he's really a good model. I do like it a lot. These had a lot of potential, but that weird like mohawk hat thing, I'm not using that.
Yeah.
And I feel like his arm is at too extreme an angle. It just looks weird.
Okay.
But I think I'm gonna change that. I might swap it out so he has the sword in the left hand and he's like shooting a gun.
Right.
But then the chonky guy, I'm gonna do 2 hand swaps.
Okay.
And because I'm gonna make him Keir Valen from the Iron Warriors, who's in the new PDF.
Right.
He's such a cool character. So I'm gonna try to convert him. Keir Valen is armed with a power sword and a Volkite something. It's
Serpenta?
It's the one. It's like the one that guy's got.
Oh, the Charger.
Okay, yeah.
Volkite Charger.
What's the other? Because there's 3 that you can carry, right?
So Serpenta, Charger, Caliver. The Caliver's the longer rifle one.
Okay.
And this is like the light machine gun or the SMG kind of approach. But yeah, the Charger's good. It's Assault 2, so
he has.
What is he armed with? Looking it up. Wait.
I don't know if they listed. I thought they did. He's got Aegis. That's the sword. He has a Volkite Charger.
Right. Yep.
So it's the same thing.
Cool.
But no, he'll be really fun. And then the other one I'm going to convert into my like assault sort of not praetor. What's the guy? He's like the equivalent of a lieutenant.
Okay.
I forget what it is in the. I have to learn all the new heresy vernacular.
Yeah.
But he's the equivalent of a lieutenant, so I'm going to run him as my alternate HQ. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the heresy stuff, I remember like, if 6 or 8 months ago, if you would ask me if I was starting a heresy army, I would have laughed and been like, yeah, I'm all set. Like, I'm not ordering a bunch of like, resin from Forge World, and when I can just get plastic Space Marines, like I love 40K, and then. Plus I'm like, it runs on 7th edition, and I'm not really a huge fan of 7th. Like, it's fine. It's like, I get it. It's fun, but it's just not my thing. I like 9th, and I think it's a really good addition. And then they showed the new teaser, and we were all like, cool. So what armies are we starting? Like, it wasn't even like let's really get into this. Like when they showed what was in the box and all the stuff that was coming, it was like, oh, okay, so
done.
I put up a stiff resistance for a good 6 months, and then I was like, now we're doing this.
Yeah.
But
for sure. That's good.
That's another thing we talked about last week about the different Land Raider types. Because I want to run 2 Phobos patterns, and those are not in the books, but they are in the new PDF. It's the Spartan, what's the other one?
Proteus. The Proteus?
Yeah, that's the one.
Proteus
it's
is in
the
the book.
Proteus Explorer.
Right.
The Proteus Explorer, Proteus Carrier, and then you get the Spartan Assault Tank.
Yeah.
But that's the only rules that are in here for any of the transports.
Right.
Like, they have the other ones, like they have the Cerberus, which is basically just a Spartan with a gun on it, and that stuff. But those are the 3 Land Raider variants.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of the older plastic ones, the Jess Goodwin kits, which are amazing. Like, this is one of my favorite tanks, but there's never been a reason to run them basically since 5th edition.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to repaint those for my Iron Warriors army and run them as that. And then in the PDF, they showed the rules for that. And it's armed the same way. So it's got like I don't remember if they're Gravis last cannons or if it's just twin link last cannons, but it ends up being the same. It's 2 shot, you can reroll. But yeah,
I think
the game itself looks great. It's super deep, so
yeah, no, it's definitely good. I'm just scrolling through where is it? Land Raider, Legion Land Raider Phobos has sponsor mounted Gravis las cannons and the twin link heavy bolters and
so I mean it's the Land Raider. It's the one that we all think of.
Yeah,
it's the classic loadout. So.
And then there's the Achilles that has the sponsor-mounted melter cannons and the hull-mounted quad launcher.
Doesn't it have that crazy Punisher gun thing?
Yeah.
Like the mini?
It's 4-barreled launcher. You can get one of those for the rapier battery. The rapier weapons battery.
I thought the Achilles has the missile launcher on top. Instead of the heavy bolters on the front, it has like a Gatling gun, and then it has the melter guns on the side.
The melter guns are on the side, but basically the quad launcher replaces the heavy bolters. Yep. Now Jake's gonna look it up.
No, you were. I knew it was that thing, but what's the one I'm thinking of that has the missile launcher?
I'm not sure.
Is that the weird command one?
Not sure. Maybe.
I could have sworn there's like a random again. It's a variant that I don't have.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it. It is I'm thinking of the Helios.
Okay.
Glitter Helios basically has the side-mounted glass cannons as usual, and then instead of having the heavy bolter on the front, it has like this big like Cyclops Auspex eye thing.
Yep. And
then it's a rocket launcher. It's a six missile tube.
Right.
Sure. That's the one I was thinking of.
I'm hoping that one day, do the Sanchez pattern Land Raider. It's one that they did for my Tyrannic War veterans back when I did an Ultramarines army in 2008, 2007, 2008. And what we did, the Crusader, Land Raider Crusader, how it has the bolters, the bolter array, whatever it's called, hurricane bolters. So basically, replace each of those bolters with a plasma gun.
Yep.
So it's got 12 plasma guns.
Yeah, I'm looking at your tank now. It still has the explosive tiles on the front, like the mines, and then it has like the twin-linked assault cannon, and then you have like old one-eyed corpse like chained to the top.
Yep.
Yeah, that thing's pretty awesome.
Trophy. But yeah, basically the idea for that mass plasma there came from Derek Sanchez, who worked in mail order. So it was nicknamed the Sanchez pattern.
So, question for you, Land Raider wise, when you build a Land Raider, do you put the last cannon mounts on the front or on the back doors?
I don't know. I think I've done it both ways. For the Spartan that I did for my Death Guard, I put them at the front. And I think I'll probably keep putting them at the front now. Just so that the guys can get out from behind them. I mean, game-wise, it doesn't really matter, but
I've always done that. It made sense to me because I was like, well, if they're going to assault, you're assaulting out the ramp, so you're not running into the line of fire of the last cannons. And I'm like, if you're coming out the side doors, I guess the assumption would be that you don't want to assault on the front, so you want to be able to get behind them while they're shooting.
Yeah.
It never made any sense to me that you would like walk into traffic and get annihilated by this thing while it's firing. So I was like, but yeah, like I've always done it. I've seen people mount on the back, and I'm always like, why would you do that? And they're like, why? And I tell them that, and they're like, oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I think they look. I got to tell you though, I think they do look cooler at the back. But that's just me.
Oh, yeah, they definitely look cooler.
So there you go. That's a huge reason for doing that.
I mean, that's also why they do the that crazy one that you can only get from Forge World, the one that has like 3 extra last cannons on it.
Right.
Was it the Excelsior? I think it has like it has 3 twin mounted last cannons and then 2 single last cannon mounts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just a tank. It can't transport anything because it has more capacitors.
Yeah. I just remembered. I'm going to just quickly see if I can get this to work by bringing up that's there. And
bring up the Sanchez pattern.
No, this is so this is my Spartan, but this is just experimenting with the software to see if I can get this to work. So cross your fingers. Let's see if we can get this to work. Okay.
I have no idea if it's working or not.
It is. It's working. Hooray!
Great success.
Great success indeed. So basically what I've got is my Death Guard Spartan, a video of it spinning around.
Nice. That's the one with the laser etched, the brass.
Oh, the brass etched. Yeah, the brass etched on the.
So good.
On the corners. So I've got that on the the brass etched on the front and the 2 sides. So, oh, how about that? As soon as it finished the video, it went back to the picture. So,
nice.
I'll hit that again. But yeah, I did the same, few similar brass etched on the Kratos. You can just see it there.
That is a beast.
Yeah. So, yeah, one of the things that we're also going to be talking about while we're there. Josh says streamlined at the back like a spoiler on the front wheel drive car. Yeah. Oh, that, I've never thought about it. Something like that, the spoiler on having a spoiler on a front wheel drive car.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I know with a lot of newer cars, so a spoiler. So it depends. So sometimes a spoiler is there to keep the pressure on over the drive wheels. But another one, especially on newer cars, it's to help with airflow to improve aerodynamics. Yeah. So it could be either way.
You mean maybe it's lifting the car a little bit? Make it a little bit lighter.
It's more just so you don't have that crazy tail whip. It
Yeah.
just improves the airflow dynamics
You don't have the drag at the back.
and the aerodynamics of the car itself. But yeah, sometimes they're just ridiculous. Like when you see those guys that are driving like some little tiny car and they have the huge like shopping cart like fin on the back, and you're like, what? That doesn't do anything. It just
What's going on?
I'm like, but if you like it, okay, cool.
Yep. All good. So we've got that. Hooray! Now I know that works, and I know where I have to do what buttons I need to press where.
Nice. You should show me a picture of the Sanchez pattern later.
Maybe another time.
I mean, I just googled it. It popped right up.
Yeah. Well, sure, but then you don't know the process to get all these things ready to go.
You're doing all the behind that.
One thing I will do though is I'm going to move up a picture and show everybody. It's the lovely Leviathan, Blood Angels Leviathan Dreadnought that you sent me a picture of last week.
Thanks, man. Yeah, he's such a fun one. Yeah, my camera did not do a great job with it. Like it's actually line highlighted and like edged all the way out. It just doesn't show up in this photo. It's like he's just really red.
Yep.
But he was so fun. I got like the old Rogue Trader era Blood Angel shoulder badge. So it's the old curved wings instead of the new sharp ones.
Yep.
But yeah, that thing is just a killing machine. Like every time I've run it, it just stuff.
Yeah. No.
It is such a gross vehicle.
It's good.
Yeah.
Nice. But no, I think I wanted to say as well. That's one of the things that we'll be doing on the show too. Is we won't just be talking about painting and modeling and that kind of thing, but we'll also be having spirited debates about rules. Most of them to do with balancing what's cool on a model and what is going to work for you in the game. So I'm going to let you know I went with the double multi-melter cannon. Yeah.
I'm just gonna snipe him with my Sakaran Venator across the board.
Right.
I have a range of 96. He has a range of 24.
Bring it on. If you want to take him on, that's great. That will mean that this guy gets across the board into your lines.
Shoot him too.
And slaughters him. Yeah. That's what it's going to be. But no, we had a fun discussion last week, I think, about maybe the week before, about the Kratos and the layout for this. I wanted to go all Volkite, because for me, Volkite was very Horus Heresy. So, and also something we have to do, we have to work out, I've got to discover why Choom is the widely accepted sound that the Volkite makes.
Okay.
I'm not sure why, but yeah. But in the end, you can see that I didn't go for the big Volkite cannon on top. I just went for the battle cannon because it's tactical flexibility. So.
It's pretty great. And again, like when we talked about it, I was saying that the reason I wouldn't go all Volkite is that if you run into an opponent that's running anything that's armor, you are in trouble because it can't do anything to them with Volkite.
Yeah.
But like the battle cannon is great because it gives you a lot of it's like the old missile launcher in Devastator squads. It gives you tactical flexibility because you can use what? There's the armor bane round, there's the HE round, and there's the AP round. Yep. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility, and then with the what is it? The coax mounted autocannon, the rules for that are great. So you roll that first. If you hit with the autocannon, you can re-roll all your shots with the battle cannon, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is good. Definitely good.
Another cool thing to keep in mind with that tank. So when Ben built his, he didn't glue so the turret is in two pieces. So there's the bottom mount, and then there's the top like armor plate piece.
Yep.
So he just didn't glue the plate down. He's gonna magnetize it, so you can take it and you can replace the guns.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that you're a lot of people will probably say, why don't you just magnetize it? And I'll say, I lose the things that I magnetize. Yeah. Or I forget to take them to the games. And I show up and it's like, oh, yeah, I wanted to run the big Volkite cannon, but I've left it at home. So yeah, that's why I tend not to magnetize my stuff.
Yeah, I don't.
We'll get there. One thing I was going to say as well, just quickly. I was reading through and looking at a whole bunch of stuff online and different groups and that sort of thing, and people were talking about scouts again.
Yep.
Like Space Marine scouts hadn't been really talked about for a very long time in 40k. So I was like, oh, I wonder if I've got any scout bits. So I looked at my bits boxes, which are here, and I was like, oh, I do. I have some scout stuff. So I ended up putting together a scout unit with what do you call it? So you use those as the Nemesis bolters.
Yep.
The sniper rifles, essentially. And
sniper weapons have always been good in that game. So I mean, they've always been good in 40k. So
yeah. But I use the because all of the I always picture the word bearers as having as being bold. There's pretty much all of the characters you see are bold, like Lorgar and Erebus and Corferon.
I'm gonna green stuff them all with like bozo clown wigs, so they all have hair around the sides.
All right, okay. that's what seals on their helmets when they put them on. Yeah, so when I went to do the scouts, I used Gene Stealer Cult Neophyte Hybrid heads.
Yeah, those are good.
So, although that looks like a dude, like from there it looks like a dude with a walrus mustache.
A little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
But yeah, so and then I gave the sergeant a combi plasma.
Nice.
So yeah, here we go. And just slowly building up a collection of models. This will happen every show, I'm sure.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
But yeah, so I'm excited to get some paint on those too. So that's really good.
I think the big thing for me with looking through the Heresy stuff is, and one of our guys at the shop said this, which was really kind of good, is all of the legions feel different.
Yeah.
Like in the previous iteration, for the most part, it was like, oh, you're running a squad of Mark IV? Oh, I'm also running a squad of Mark IV. What do? They're Mark IV Space Marines. And you can tweak them a little bit, but like most of the cool, fun, special stuff was either your Legion's special thing that they do,
yep,
or the special unit that they have. But the rest of your army was basically just, it was like chocolate chip cookies, right? So most of it's cookie, and you get a couple chocolate chips. Like the new iteration feels much different. Like it's like, oh, this is a lemon cookie. This is a coconut cookie. This is an all chocolate cookie. And it even like your basic Marines, because of the rights of war and like the different things that the Primarch can do or the different unit abilities you can do, like I just think that overall, I think the warlord traits, like I think that the whole army top to bottom feels different.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'd agree with that. There are some approaches, some rights of war that feel very similar.
Yeah.
They are almost they're the same concept. It's just been reworked slightly. So something like Pride of the Legion, which is a standard anyone can take right of war, means you can take veteran squads and Terminator squads as troops, as non-compulsory troops. For the Death Guard, take the Reaping, I think it is. Their tactical support squads can become compulsory troops, I think. I could be wrong. Anyway, but their heavy support squads become non-compulsory troops.
Okay.
And I was sitting here working out, okay, what squad do I want to build next, or what do I want to do next? And it's like, I want to do a veteran squad. I want to do a Tartarus Terminator squad, because I've got a whole buttload of Tartarus models, Terminator models. And I've got, like, the Gal Vorback, and I've got Mara Gal, I've got this Dreadnought, I've got too many elite choices. Well, I guess I can use Pride of the Legion, and then my veterans and my Terminators will be troops. I wonder what... Oh, wait, no. The Wordbearers have one where the Gal Vorback are troops. Just count straight up as compulsory troops.
There's a lot of them that have that. Like the Dark Angels have that hexagrammation thing where they can pick different sort of focuses, and then you pick your wing, and then each of the wings has a specific thing. So,
right,
like if you take the Death Wing, you can take like Mark III Marines with like assault squads. You can take them as like troops choices or something. And I was like, all right. So like you're saying it.
Yep.
Not only will the sort of like the way you've built your army look different from other people's armies, like your army is good at different things and buffs certain abilities. And every single army this time feels like you can legitimately run them as loyalist or traitor, regardless of what book they're in.
Right.
And you know, for anybody who hasn't decided yet, the Index of Stardate has all of the, you know, the legions that traditionally stayed loyal.
Yeah.
But you can run them, like the Liber Astartes, you can run them as traitors. Like you can run, like you could have a traitor, you know, Imperial Fist army, or you could have a
I can see it. You're itching to say traitor Dark Angels, and that's just fine. You can say it out loud.
Yeah, 100%. I tried to resist. So, but again, like they're really fun. Like, and as an example, like the Space Wolves, and I think the Dark Angels as well, other than the Primarchs, nothing in the army has a keyword.
Okay.
Like in the Dark Angels list, all of their rights of war are non-branded.
Okay.
I mean, think of right. So, like normally when you pick your guy, it's like, okay, is your warlord going to be a loyalist or is he going to be a traitor? And then once you make that decision, it kind of limits what you can get.
Right.
And then most factions have a loyalist ability, a traitor ability, and a neutral one, and you can pick two regardless of what you choose. The Dark Angels, for example, they're like rights of war and stuff. They're all neutral, and they have 6 of them. So you can pick any of them and then run them as loyalist or traitor.
There are 6 rights of war?
Yeah, they have the most. They have, I'm on page 153.
Yeah.
So they've got like Steel Fist, Eschaton Imperative, Storm of War, Unbroken Vow, Seeker's Arrow, and Serpent's Bane. And each one of them is one of the wings. So if you're running the Dread Wing, or the Iron Wing, or the Storm Wing, or the Death Wing, or the Raven Wing, like you pick the one that does the thing, and then you run that wing.
Right.
But it's just really cool. Like the only people that have keywords are the Lion has Loyalist, and then I think the other the other named guy. So Corswain, who's the Paladin of the Ninth Order, he has the Loyalist keyword. Martyr Cedras has the Loyalist keyword, and then that's it. Everything else is you know, kind of, it's up to you.
Right.
The Space Wolves go one further. The only thing in their army that has the keyword is Lehman Russ has the Loyalist keyword. Everyone else, including all the named characters, don't.
Okay.
And then in the Heretic book, it's most of the legions that traditionally turn heretic.
Yeah.
The Alpha Legion is the one that cracks me up the most. Nothing in their army has a keyword except one of their rights of war. They have one right of war that is loyalist, and they have 2 that are neutral.
Nice.
So they don't have a traitor one, and no one, including Alfarius, has a keyword. Alfarius, you can run him as a loyalist or a traitor.
Right.
Yeah, it's just really fun. I think they've done a good job balancing it. Like, and they all feel different. So if there's a specific type of Space Marine army you want to run, you can do it using, like, there is definitely an army that sort of fits right into what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
But it's really neat. I still think Gilliman is the most busted out of all the Punished.
Okay.
His rolls are nuts. So, like, they're very Ultramarines-y. So when he does his, at the beginning of each turn, you can kind of pick what thing you want to do.
Yeah.
It's like, do we want to be good at shooting, do we want to be good at moving or do we want to be good at assaulting? And Gilliman just gives them that.
Right.
And you can't pick the same one twice in a row, but you can pick, like, I'm going to make my guys really good at moving, and then I'm going to make my guys really good at shooting, and then I'm going to make my guys really good at moving again, and then I'm going to make my guys really good at assault.
Right.
And then he has this other thing, I forget what it's called. It's because the codex doesn't exist yet. He hasn't written the codex.
Yep.
But they have a thing that is very similar. It's called like the, what is it? It's like the Logistum. I'm not going to guess. I will find it.
Right.
So Space Wolves, Hero Fists, Blood Angels, you're the best. Iron Hand, Ultimate. Okay, so they have one right of war.
Okay.
They have the Logos Lectora.
Okay.
And it is nuts. So at the beginning of each turn, in which the controlling player of a detachment using this right of war is the active player, that player may select one of the Legos Lectora commands that follow, but may not select the same command twice in a row. So this is the three you have. The first one is Full March. All models with the infantry unit type and the Legion Ultramarines keyword may increase their movement by 2, but they reduce their ballistic skill and their weapon skill by 1.
Okay.
That's just to the end of your turn. The next one they can choose is Hold Fast. All models with the infantry unit type and the Legion Ultramarine special rule must increase their leadership by +1 and may reroll all failed to hit rolls during a shooting attack, but may not move or run in the movement phase.
Okay.
Retribution Strike. All models with the infantry unit and the Legion Ultramarine special rule may increase their weapon skill by 1 and gain an additional +1 to any charge rolls that they make, but they must reduce their ballistic skill characteristic by 1.
Okay.
And then the last one is Regroup. All models with the infantry unit and Legion Ultramarine special rule may reroll failed leadership tests made to regroup while falling back in any failed reserve rolls.
Wow. Okay.
Like, so they just have the one, but Gilliman's like, we're going to be really good at this thing. We're going to be really good at this thing. Like,
Right.
they, like, that is so Ultramarines. It's the best.
Yeah. Practice your shooting, boys.
Yeah. and then if you run Gilliman does a thing that does even more of that.
Right.
So he has, what is it called? Preternatural Strategy. So it's the same thing. At the start of the controlling player's turn, the controlling player may select any one of the following options, but may not select the same option twice in a row. So you can give, again, same thing, anything with the Legion Ultramarine special rule and anything, you can give it either Fleet 2, so it moves extra and it can run extra. You can give it Counterattack, which is one additional, it gets Counterattack 1, it gets Furious Charge 1, or it gets Stubborn.
Right.
And so if you run Gilliman and you have that right of war, you can do both of them every turn.
Right.
Like, it's just, it's the most Ultramarines thing ever. It's like, we're going to be really good at this turn.
Nice.
Yeah, he's super fun.
Do we, I can't remember if we talked about it. Which Legion are you doing?
So I'm going to do Loyalist Iron Warriors.
That's right. Well, it's Iron Warriors. Yep.
They'll be fun. The 4th.
Excellent. Hooray! Hooray, the 4th.
They'll be good. And you're doing Word Bearers.
Yep.
Even though technically you do have a Death Guard force.
I do have I've got a Loyalist Death Guard. I have a Mechanicum force. I've got a Solar Auxilia force. I got something else as well. I can't remember what. But, yeah. So do Word Bearers. Although this guy, obviously, is going to be the, in addition to my Death Guard. And I think I've got 2 more rhinos showing up next week, or later this week. So I'll have a bunch of rhinos for my, what do you call it? Word Bearers.
I gotta get missile pods for my Terminator Siege Tyrants.
Okay. Yep.
The Iron Warriors special unit. It's like a bunch of it's essentially a rocket version of the Cyclone missile launcher. So it just shoots a ton of rockets instead of shooting like one missile. But I can run them as like a specialized unit for only my army. Well, unless you play Alpha Legion, in which case you can steal them.
Yeah.
But
Oh, pardon me. Sorry. What you should try and do is see if you can get see how many of those Havoc launches you can get from people?
Yeah.
From the Contemptors? Saying that would be perfect.
It's too big, though.
Oh, no. You want it to be big, don't you? You want it to be huge.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, when they show the pictures of the ones that they make, it looks like... It's weird. It actually looks like a more streamlined Cyclone. It looks like a smaller Cyclone.
Okay. Well, the what do you call it? The sprue that goes with the vehicles, the accessory sprue, vehicle accessory sprue, has a Havoc launcher on it. So check that, and because it's a smaller version of this.
Okay, could work.
It could work.
I can scrape up a couple of those.
Yeah, could be good. I think
I need at least 5, but I might try to run 10.
Yeah. My buddy Mark is because the torso and helmet and arms for the crew, the vehicle crew, are all Mark II.
Okay.
He's gathering up spare parts from people to build a whole Mark II squad in plastic. So.
Okay.
I'm not sure how he's working on the legs just yet, but
well, there's gonna be something that has something similar.
There are resin legs from Forge World for the Mark IIs that they did. But
there's a bunch of characters that have Mark II.
Yeah, they have the ribbed or the segmented leg.
Yeah.
Plates. So you can almost take like plastic Mark VI and carve around. You do a lot of carving to carve them out, or maybe even Mark VII legs because they have the round knee pad.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it'll be fun seeing put those together. Yeah. That'll be good.
I'm not a fan of the Mark II armor. I think that's one of the reason I like Mark III. Mark III looks cool.
Yep.
Mark III is just Mark II armor with extra plates put on the front.
Yeah.
Literally, that's all it is.
Yep.
So I think that one looks cool. They look like Space Knights.
Right. Yep.
And then Mark IV and Mark VI and even Mark VII essentially look the same. The only real difference between Mark IV and Mark VI is that Mark VI, some of them have full greaves and some of them have knee pads.
Yeah.
And then the difference from Mark VI to Mark VII is all of the tubes on the front are fully under the plate.
Yeah.
But
hang on a second. There we go. Yeah, I found so that's Mark III.
Yeah. Yep, that's the best. That armor's awesome.
Yeah.
And if you turn them around, that's what Mark II looks like.
Oh, at the back there? Yep.
Yep, that's Mark II. Like all the things on his legs, that's Mark II armor.
Yep. And then Mark V.
Yep, nice.
And Mark V has all that cabling on the legs, exposed cabling.
Well, actually, so Mark V is one of those ones that's not a distinct mark of armor. The idea is it's a catch-all to catch all of the various upgrades and variants and Legion-specific tweaks and field repairs.
Yeah.
But that's the big tell is the weird Darth Vader-y helmet with the tubes, and then the tubes on the legs and studs everywhere.
Yep.
But
for sure. But tube. That's the
culverin. I imagine it sounds like a hairdryer.
It does, doesn't it? But that's the Volkite culverin.
Nice. Thing. That's the heavy one?
Yeah. Yep. It's like heavy 5. But that's something crazy as well. That I was looking through today. Mainly because I've been thinking about doing I want to do a 10-man tactical support squad with melter guns.
Okay.
And drive them up in a rhino, pop them out, take out a tank.
Melter gun's the best. I love it.
But to do that, that's 295 points.
Including the rhino?
Not including the rhino, no. Include the rhino, it's gonna be 330 points, something like that. But I was thinking at the same time, it's like I'd want to have that. This is before I looked up the points. I want to have that and like a 10-man heavy bolter squad that can stick on an objective somewhere and just hose people away from it.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's a lot of shots.
Because it's 40 shots.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. 40 shots, 3s to hit, so 27 hits. Strength 5, 3s to wound Marines. So what's that?
Like 14.
18.
Yeah, 18.
18, and then 3+ saves against them from Marines. So 6, and killing 6 Marines every turn.
Yeah.
And added that up, and it was like, oh, that's 175 points. What? How is there such a huge difference? And it's like, well, it must be the melter thing, right? Melter's got to be super potent, so do that. What if I got 10 guys, heavy weapons support squad, heavy support squad with multi-melters? How much is that? That's 275 points. It's 20 points cheaper than 10 guys with melter guns.
Yeah, but it's because the different Marine types, because they fulfill different battlefield roles, that's what the points is based on.
Yeah.
But yeah, plus if they have the multi-melters, they can't move.
Yeah. Well, you can move and shoot, but you're snap firing. But yeah.
Right, which defeats the purpose. Whereas if you give them melter guns, they can drive up, get out of the Rhino, and shoot.
Yeah.
Whereas if they have heavy multi-melters, they can't do that.
I get it, but it still feels a little bit odd. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm still in the now I'm in the, well, which do I do? Do I just do a squad of dudes with melters, multi melters, and a squad of dudes with heavy bolters? Sure. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, as long as they're not going to move, the multi melters are great. I think having I'd split the difference. I would do a squad of 5 with melter guns.
Yep.
And put in a sergeant with a melter gun, and then I'd put in 4 regular Marines and put them in a Rhino. Right. And then those are your ablative wounds, because you're gonna.
With the tactical support squads, everybody starts with it, and when you switch out, everybody has to switch out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, because 10 melter guns is overkill. Like you could drive that you could drive them up and melt a warlord.
No, wouldn't be that.
Because it won't get its shields. You'll drive up to it. Okay, guys, this is our stop. Everybody gets out next to its leg, and then you just turn him into a puddle.
Yeah. Because
you're gonna get 4 shots of melter guns at point blank range. So you're gonna be hitting on 3s. If you do the thing where the sergeant has the omniscope or whatever, you can re-roll misses.
Yep. I
think it's re-roll misses, or maybe +1 to hit. Anyways, so you're hitting on 2s. So you're gonna hit with let's say 9.
Right.
Or 8. Let's say 8. Let's say 8 for the sake of argument. So you're hitting with 8. They're all AP1 weapons, which means he's guaranteed to just take 8 hull points just before you even roll damage. He's just taking 8. Then you get to roll the melta thing. You got to roll 2 dice. Forget about it. There's no way he's surviving that.
Yeah.
You can put a melt on the Rhino too. Get another shot. There you go.
Well, I also did the math on a putting together a veteran squad.
Yeah.
With 2 melter guns and then 8 combi melters.
Right.
And that runs about 275 as well. And that's veterans who are where are we going?
Elites. Looking up where's the weapon profiles?
Weapon profiles? Page 128.
120? Oh yeah, here we go. Alright, Melta.
They're still only BS4. Veterans are BS4.
Oh, you mean, yeah, I guess you wouldn't cause enough. I guess you wouldn't cause enough hull points. I mean, each one of them would basically cause.
That's gonna be unpleasant.
I mean, it's armor bane,
Yeah.
So you get to roll the 2 dice, and then each one of them is going to be a penetrating hit. And theoretically, if you roll a 5 or a 6, it's going to take 3 hull points or 4 hull points.
Well, no, it's going to explode. The 5 or 6 because it's their AP 1. So that's plus 2 to. That's plus 2. Pardon? Oh, I'm not sure against the Warlord, but
you still have to deplete all the hull points. But I think a destroy result, I believe, is 3 additional hull points.
Right.
And you're going to roll 2 dice for everything, plus the Rhino if you put a multi-melt on it, which I 100% would. So I mean, theoretically, you're going to cause at least 24 wounds. I'm assuming a Warlord probably has something absurd like 38 or 40 or something.
Way more than that. It's going to be more.
Really?
Than that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I suspect. But anyway, just it was a really interesting thing. It was like, and that's what I love is there's so many. Josh Potter says there's a Razorback with a twin link multi-melter thing. It is unfortunately not, Josh. No Razorbacks in 30k, but Rhinos can take pintle mounted multi-melters. So that's what my word bearer Rhinos are going to have.
So much melta.
Yeah, so much melta. It's fantastic. But I think it's always it's fun sort of thought exercises and that sort of thing, and working out what you're gonna do, what you're gonna run. But I'm gonna play my first game with them on Saturday.
Nice.
First 2 games, I think.
Take some pictures. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, and I think I'll do probably play about 2,000 points. I'm painting up this guy at the moment as well.
Oh, Dark Apostle.
So the Dark Apostle, but yeah, I'm going to paint him up for my to be a Diabolist.
Nice.
Diabolist console. So I'll have him and the other guy that I showed before. It's going to be a Chaplain, so he's going to be the Warlord.
Right.
And I just need more Galvor back, really. So,
As much as I don't like the word bearers, they do have a great paint scheme.
Yeah.
The red with the black trim and the gold is really cool. And then if you do the Ashen Circle, it's basically their pre-Heresy paint scheme, but it's dry brushed out.
Well, no, it's the Heresy scheme. They started the Heresy in gray. Well, I guess it's pre-Heresy as well. But yeah.
But no, they're really cool. Same thing with the Sons of Horus. I would never run Sons of Horus, but I love that paint scheme. That sea green teal is just so awesome.
Yep.
They look really, really cool. So I'm a huge Blood Angel fan, which Dave knows, and I'm sure Mel and most of these guys know. But so I was like, everyone was like, "Oh, you're gonna do Blood Angels," and I was like, I think I'm gonna take a break. I've painted 4 red armies in a row. I need a break, particularly Red Space Marines. I was like, I need a break from Red Space Marines. So I was like, oh, what can I do? I was like, oh, I'll do Thousand Suns. I'll do the blue and the gold. And then I was like, oh, but it's Heresy, so they're red. I was like, okay, I can't do that. They're the same colors. So it came down to I was either going to do Alpha Legion, Iron Warriors, or Ultramarines.
Yep.
And I already have a 40k Alpha Legion army that's it's basically all the new Primaris Vanguard dudes.
Right.
So it's all guys in the stripped down Mark 10. It's all Reavers and Infiltrators, and it's all the tactical guys. And I'm painting them as Alpha Legion, and I run them as I use the current rules for Raven Guard. Okay. Which they're very similar. The rules are almost identical. So I run them as Raven Guard, but I have them painted as Alpha Legion. And then so I was like, okay, I'll do I wanted to do kind of a Greek themed army, so I'm either going to do Ultramarines or Iron Warriors. And I was like, I don't really want to paint blue, but I figured it would be really fun. I haven't done a metal effect army in forever, so it'll be fun to do them. I'm going to do a lot of burnished stuff, and I'm going to dry brush their masks all the way up so they're silver. Okay. Because there's the whole thing that the Silver Skulls chapter is created as sort of by Gilliman in recognition of the Iron Warriors that fought with his guys during the Heresy. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yep. So these will be the primogenitors of that whole vibe.
That sort of thing. Yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be good. I don't know if I've told you, at some point I'd like to do an Alpha Legion force. that is painted up in like ultramarine blue, but they have the ultra symbol is inverted.
Nice.
So it's Omega.
Mega Marines.
Yeah. But people would look at them and like the folks on a planet would look at them and go, "Oh, the Ultramarines are here to save us."
Dude, their rules are so cool. Their whole army can like come in from the sides and stuff. They have like this flanking thing. Like they're gonna be really, really fun. A buddy of mine we were talking about the other day, he was gonna paint all of his guys were gonna be painted like loyalists.
Yep.
And then when you turn them around, the backs of them are all painted like Alpha Legion.
Okay. Yep.
So like as they're marching away from you, you'd only see the Alpha Legion side, and then coming towards you, you'd see loyalists. And I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yep.
But,
yeah. My friend Andrew has a whole. I think he calls it the Alpha Fistas.
Okay.
But yeah, so he has an army that's painted like Imperial Fists, but instead of like brown chips, like paint chips and that kind of thing, it's like the Alpha Legion teal.
Oh, nice, underneath the paint. Nice.
Yeah. So he's got some elements are more heavily weathered than others and that kind of thing, but yeah, he did pretty well with he had a Spartan that he put in the Golden Demons at Adepticon that I think he got a commended entry with that, but yeah, very cool sort of thought. I think he's going to be working on a Black Shield army. So.
Yeah, they haven't really released the rules for the Black Shields, so I'm curious to see what that's going to look like, because I thought about doing that. At some point, I wanted to do I was going to do Shadrach Meduson's guys, like it's mostly dudes left over from the Drop Site Massacre.
Right. Yep.
And then the idea is that they sort of like are like after the drop site, after Horus's guys all leave, like they kind of like pick themselves out of the rubble and like some of them escape, and then they kind of cruise around the Isfahan system picking up stragglers.
Yep.
And then he takes like his band of like miscreants and they start like fighting a guerrilla war, harassing like Horus's guys on the backside. Yeah. And I was like, that'd be really fun to paint them up as an army, because they have like there's a little bit of everything in that army.
Yeah. Yeah, so, for sure.
But
well, I think we're probably. Oh, geez, look at it. We were at 1 hour 42.
Yeah, normally will not be this long unless we're doing like a special event. But
yeah,
we had to do a lot of extra stuff tonight.
We did. Two things that I want to mention before we wrap up. One is one of the things I'm actually super excited about is Jay from Warsenal has started doing bases with for larger models with trackers. So Warsenal, Jay's done. He's been working with Corvus Belli for a long time and does so much awesome Infinity stuff, particularly awesome terrain. But yeah, he's working on bases for 40k and 30k at the moment. So he's done like Knight bases. He's got the big one, the ones for the big ones and the smaller ones. So the 170mm and the 100mm that have wound trackers in the back.
Like Hero collects bases.
Kind of, yeah. So you've got that all built into the thing. I mean, you can use dice. You can use other. I've got some other trackers and that sort of thing that I've got from like Broken Egg. But yeah, having them built in again for somebody who leaves that stuff behind on a regular basis. I could just forget to take it. I am excited about that. But he's working on some Dreadnought bases as well. So he's going to be sending those up to me soon. So hopefully I'll have those to show next week. If
he's looking for feedback, he should add another, so you have the two numbers, and then he should add another one that has all the conditions. So like pinned, stunned, shaken, that immobilized. Like those would be kind of cool for vehicles that you flip the tab. And you can do the same thing for infantry too, because like being pinned is a huge thing in this. If you're pinned, falling back, there's a lot of condition modifiers. So
yeah. We'll see. We'll see what these are like first, and I'll pass that feedback on to him for sure.
He's like, once I sell out.
Yeah. But no, it should be good. So, I'll move my dreadnoughts onto those bases once I get them, and go from there. But there's that, and the other thing I was going to say is because we're doing a lot of talking about the heresy. If any folks want to check out a super cool source of or rundown of heresy lore. Arbiter Ian is a YouTuber who has some awesome videos, very well researched. He's gone back through all the very early lore from GW all the way back to 1987, and decided to put them all together in to cover each of the legions, so you can find out what the legions did during the Unification Wars, so before the Great Crusade. For example, I didn't realize that the Ultramarines were drawn from all over Old Terra into the 13th Legion were the Warborn, and became the Ultramarines later. They didn't actually fight on Terra as part of the Unification Wars, but all of their inductees were drawn from the places that were the most resistant to the Emperor as well, and their gene seed has a large element that is all about compliance and working together and teamwork and coming together, like and working as a group rather than individually. So it's a really interesting sort of thing, and I don't think in put in there like why they weren't deployed during the Unification Wars, but he talks about how that's a sort of key component of their makeup. But yeah,
they've always been really fun. Like, there's just so much cool stuff that they can do. So
yeah,
there's so much old stuff. Like, I'm gonna paint. Like, you have some of your veterans in your Death Guard painted as Dusk Legion.
The Dusk Guard. Actually, I don't have a lot, but oh, where is he? He's right down here. I'll find him in a second.
Because I'm gonna do I have a small unit of like reactionary force from my Iron Warriors. It's gonna be all assault guys.
Right.
And the one faction that they can sort of battle brothers with is World Eaters. So I'm gonna paint them as Imperial Warhounds, which is what they were before, and it's like their loyalist colors. So
yeah, that'd be good. Doing them up as the Warhounds.
Yeah, I love that paint scheme.
Yeah. You know what I was
close to doing Luna Wolves. I love the white paint scheme is just great. It's hard to do, but it looks really clean and fun. I might mix a couple Luna Wolves in there. I was gonna make as one of my pre-orders. I was gonna do Iacton Kurz, the half herd.
Yep. He's
like one of the few that like gets away because he leaves with Garrow, I think. Yeah, he's on Garrow's ship when they leave.
Yeah. Yeah. On the Eisenstein.
Yep.
Oh, there he is. Cool. Got him. So yeah, so he's the sergeant, but he's right arm, and there we go. Let me get it. All right.
Pretty cool. It's got the old skull, the half like haloed skull.
Yep. So
they're super fun.
Yeah, just a little bit of fun like that. Some cool things to throw in. I did up the spoiler squad, mainly so I could do like heavy chainswords.
Nice. That'll be good.
Yep. Just for fun. It's all for fun, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But yeah, so Arbitor Ian, if I can work out how to do the Josh Potter says, "Oh my, look at the time. We're all turning into pumpkins."
Yeah, okay. We will wrap it up. We will talk more next time. Yeah, thanks for those of you who showed up. Thanks for sticking with us, and hopefully tell your friends and spread the word. Tell your mom, tell your friends, tell your mom's friends, and we'll see if we can get some more people. But we're also happy to just talk to you guys. So
yep.
We will. Dave will take some photos of his game on next week, and we'll talk about that.
Yep.
We can talk more heresy. I think heresy seems like it's gonna be a pretty big component, at least for the next couple weeks, because we're all working on it. But
yep. I think there'll be other things that we'll be able to work in as well. But,
sure.
Yep. But yeah, as we grow and as we develop and we work out all of the technical aspects of the stuff, we'll get this stuff underway.
Yeah, I just checked my phone. We have a message from Mel at 7:30 being like, "You guys are sent to private," and I was like, "Oh, right, okay."
Yeah, I have 2 of those, so but it was great to know, and he told us. But all good. So yes, I will take photos. Please forgive me. Some of the models will be they'll just be primed, and yeah, it'll be good. But yes, until next week, we will see you all later. Thanks very much for coming.
Thanks.